I've been watching you for 6 weeks. Ethan's confession shattered the silence in Claire Bennett's executive office. The CEO's pen froze mid-signature, her emerald eyes locking onto the handyman standing in her doorway, the same man who'd burst into her bathroom 6 weeks ago. Every time I came to fix something in this house, he continued, voice cracking, I saw how lonely you were, how you ate dinner alone, worked until midnight, never had visitors. I wasn't stalking you, Claire. I was falling for you. Her hand trembled. Then why does this feel like you're breaking my heart? Subscribe now and comment your city below. Let's see how far a confession between two broken souls can travel. Stay until the end. The emergency call came at 4:47 p.m. on the Tuesday that would split Ethan Walker's life into before and after. Ethan, it's Margaret. Drop everything. 2847 Ashwood Drive. Water emergency. The owner's hysterical. He was already moving. 10 minutes. Make it 5. She's Claire Bennett. The Claire Bennett. Ethan's stomach dropped. Everyone in Ashwood knew that name, the youngest VP in behavioral psychology who'd quit her prestigious Seattle firm 3 months ago, bought the biggest house on the hill, and hadn't spoken to a single neighbor since. The mystery CEO who locals whispered about in coffee shops. And now her house was flooding. He made it in 4 minutes. The mansion looked untouched from outside, pristine white stone, imported Japanese maple trees, the kind of perfection that didn't invite visitors. But when Ethan pressed his ear against the door, he heard it. Water, hammering, screaming through pipes. He rang the bell, pounded on the door. Nothing. Then a crash from inside, followed by a woman's muffled cry. His carpenter's instinct overruled everything else. Margaret's lockbox code worked on the second try. He shoved through the door, toolbox swinging, and the sound of rushing water slammed into him like a physical force. Upstairs. Second floor, east wing. He took the stairs 3 at a time, his boots thundering on marble that probably cost more than his truck. Steam was pouring from under a door at the hallway's end, thick, hot, blinding. Emergency maintenance, he shouted. I'm coming in. He didn't wait, couldn't wait. The door flew open under his shoulder. Steam swallowed him whole. He couldn't see his own hands. The roar of water was deafening. Then the fog shifted, and Ethan Walker's heart stopped. Claire Bennett stood 3 feet away, frozen like a statue wrapped in a white towel that clung to her wet skin. Her dark hair was plastered to her shoulders. Water streamed down her face from the burst pipe or tears he couldn't tell. But her eyes, God, her eyes were the eyes of someone who just had their last sanctuary violated. Get out! Her voice was ice wrapped around broken glass. The pipes burst. I said, get out! But Ethan had already seen it. Water was exploding from behind the wall panel, a pressurized jet tearing through tile and drywall like a bomb had gone off inside the wall. 30 more seconds and the entire floor would collapse. He lunged past her toward the shutoff valve, his shoulder barely missing hers as she stumbled backward against the sink. Don't you dare touch me. I'm shutting off the... His hands found the valve slick with water, and he wrenched it clockwise with everything he had. Once, twice, 3 times. The screaming water choked into silence. The sudden quiet was worse than the noise. Ethan straightened slowly, water dripping from his hair, his clothes, his shaking hands. He kept his eyes locked on the floor, on the white tile now covered in debris and water. I'm sorry. The words came out barely above a whisper. I heard the crash and I thought someone was hurt. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Get out of my house. Each word was a bullet. He nodded, backing toward the door, still not looking at her. I'll wait downstairs. I need to check the damage to your ceiling, but I'll wait until you're ready. He pulled the door shut and stood in the hallway, his heart trying to break through his ribs. What had he done? It didn't matter that it was an emergency. Didn't matter that he'd just saved her house from catastrophic flooding. He'd burst into a woman's bathroom. He'd seen her vulnerable, exposed, terrified. And the look in her eyes, his phone buzzed. Margaret, did you stop it? Yeah, his voice sounded hollow. I stopped it. Thank God. How bad? Bad. Pipe burst behind the wall. Major damage to the drywall, probably the ceiling below. I'll need 2-3 days to fix it right. Ms. Bennett is going to lose her mind. She already did. Ethan closed his eyes. Margaret, I had to go into the bathroom while she was what? Just tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I'll recommend another contractor. Someone else should do this job. Ethan, you're the only person I trust for emergency work. Just fix it, okay? The call ended. He descended the stairs like a man walking to his execution. The living room ceiling had a brown stain spreading across it like a cancer water dripping steadily onto a white couch that probably cost more than Emma's college fund. He was setting up a tarp when he heard footsteps behind him. Slow, deliberate, each one a judgment. Claire Bennett stood in the doorway wearing jeans and a gray sweater, her wet hair pulled into a severe ponytail. She was beautiful in the way a knife was beautiful, all sharp edges and dangerous precision. And right now those edges were pointed directly at him. I need you, she said, voice tight as a wire, to explain to me exactly what just happened up there. Ethan set down the tarp, faced her. The pipe that feeds your upstairs bathroom burst inside the wall. The pressure was catastrophic. If I hadn't shut it off immediately, you'd have flooding through both floors, possibly structural damage, definitely into your basement. You'd be looking at 50,000-60,000 in repairs. That's not what I'm asking. I know. Then answer the question I'm actually asking. He met her eyes, held them. I knocked, I shouted, I heard crashing in water and what sounded like someone in distress. Margaret gave me the emergency lockbox code. I used it. I made a choice that violated your privacy, and I will regret that choice for the rest of my life. Something flickered across Claire's face. Surprise, maybe, like she'd expected excuses and gotten truth instead. What's your name? She asked. Ethan Walker. You're with the maintenance company. I'm independent. Margaret contracts me for emergencies. Claire's arms folded across her chest like armor. How long have you been watching this house, Ethan? The accusation hit him like a punch to the throat. What? You heard me. How long have you been watching me? I've never, he fought to keep his voice steady. Ma'am, I don't even know who you are. Margaret called me 47 minutes ago with this address. That's the first time I've ever heard of you or this house. So it's just coincidence that you had the door code. Margaret gave me the code. Coincidence that you came straight upstairs. I followed the sound of the water. Coincidence that you burst into my bathroom without waiting for permission. That wasn't coincidence. That was a mistake. His voice hardened despite himself. A mistake I've already apologized for. But I didn't plan this. I didn't want this. I came here to stop a flood, and I did. If that makes me a criminal in your eyes, then call the police, and I'll give my statement. Claire stared at him. The silence stretched like broken glass. Then, how much to fix it? The whiplash of the question nearly knocked him over. What? The pipe, the wall, the ceiling. How much? He named his standard rate, fair, honest. No markup for the neighborhood. She didn't even blink. Can you start tomorrow? You want me to come back here? I want my house fixed. Can you do that or not? Yes, ma'am. Don't call me ma'am. It makes me sound like I'm 60. Her eyes were still hard. My name is Claire. Yes, Miss Bennett. Claire. He nodded slowly. Claire. Be here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp. Ring the doorbell. Wait for me to answer. Do not use that lockbox code unless I explicitly tell you to. Are we clear? Crystal clear. Good. Now finish securing that tarp and get out of my house. He worked in complete silence, hyper-aware of her watching his every movement from the doorway. It took 8 minutes to secure the tarp and move the furniture to safety. When he finished, he grabbed his toolbox and headed for the door. Mr. Walker. He stopped, turned. Claire was still standing in the same spot, arms folded, expression unreadable. That was the truth, wasn't it? She asked quietly. About the emergency, about not knowing who I was. Yes. How do I know that you don't? You have to decide whether to trust me or not. Her laugh was bitter. I don't trust anyone. Then I guess we're starting from the same place. He left before she could respond. The drive home took 20 minutes through Ashwood's winding streets. Emma was at his mother's house, probably elbow deep in math homework and his mom's famous chocolate chip cookies. He should call ahead. Warn them he'd be late for pickup. But his hands were still shaking on the steering wheel. He'd violated a woman's privacy, seen her at her most vulnerable, and now she'd hired him to come back tomorrow and work in her house for 3 days. This was either the worst professional decision of his life or what he didn't let himself finish that thought. Ethan rang Claire Bennett's doorbell at exactly 7:58 a.m. She opened it wearing black slacks and a white silk blouse, her hair in a perfect twist, her makeup flawless. She looked like she'd stepped out of a boardroom, not a bathroom emergency. "You're early," she said. "You said 8. It's 7:58. Early is on time. On time is late." The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile. Not quite. "Come in." The house felt different in morning light, less fortress, more museum. Everything was white and glass and carefully curated emptiness. No photos, no personal items, nothing that said a human actually lived here. "I'll be working from my home office," Claire said, leading him toward the stairs. "I have client calls starting at 9, so I need you to keep noise to a minimum until 10. "Understood. Coffee's in the kitchen if you want it. Help yourself." "Thank you." She started to walk away, then stopped. "Ethan." "Yes." "Yesterday when you said you'd regret your choice for the rest of your life, did you mean that?" He looked at her directly. Every word. Something shifted in her expression, like ice beginning to crack. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay." She disappeared down the hallway. Ethan climbed to the second floor and got to work. The damage was worse than he'd estimated. The pipe hadn't just burst, it had developed 3 separate stress fractures, which meant the pressure had been building for months. The entire section needed replacing, plus drywall, plus tile, plus whatever water damage had seeped into the subfloor. He worked steadily through the morning, cataloging every damaged component, his hands moving through the familiar rhythm of demolition and assessment. At 10:03, Claire appeared in the doorway. "I made coffee," she said, holding 2 mugs. "I didn't know how you'd take it, so I brought it black." He set down his pry bar, surprised. "Black's perfect, thank you." She handed him the mug and leaned against the doorframe, watching him work. "These pipes are original to the house," Ethan said, inspecting the damaged section. "How old is the building?" 12 years. "You're overdue for a full replumb, probably within the next 2 to 3 years." Claire's expression darkened. "Wonderful. I can give you a quote if you want, no obligation." "Why are you being nice to me?" The question came out sharp, suspicious. Ethan set down his coffee carefully. "What do you mean?" "Yesterday I accused you of stalking me. Today you're offering free consultations." "Why?" "Because you were right to be angry. I violated your space. The least I can do now is be professional." Most men would have gotten defensive. "I'm not most men." "No." Claire studied him with those analytical eyes. "You're not." She sipped her coffee, still watching him. "You have a daughter," she said suddenly. He froze. "How did you—" "Your phone wallpaper. I saw it yesterday when you were checking the valve. Little girl, blonde hair, missing her front teeth. 7, maybe 8 years old." 7. Her name's Emma. "Does she live with you?" "Most of the time. Her mother has weekends." "Divorce." 3 years ago." Claire nodded slowly, like she was solving an equation. "That must be difficult, raising a child alone." "My mother helps, but yeah, it's hard." "Do you regret it, the divorce?" The question was so direct it knocked the air from his lungs. "I regret that Emma had to go through it," he said carefully. "But no, Sarah and I wanted different lives. Better to end it than make each other miserable." What did she want? Freedom, adventure, the life we'd planned before Emma came along, travel, spontaneity, no responsibilities. And you wanted to be Emma's dad. Something cracked in Claire's expression. For just a moment, she looked almost sad. "That's a good answer," she said quietly. "What about you?" Ethan asked. "What brings a big city psychologist to small town Ashwood?" "Who says I'm from a big city?" "Your clothes, your furniture, the way you hold yourself. You're used to boardrooms and corner offices, not neighborhood barbecues." Claire's smile was sharp. "You're observant." "It's part of the charm. I have to notice what's broken before I can fix it." "And what do you think is broken about me?" The question hung between them like a dare. "I think," Ethan said slowly, "you moved here to escape something. And I think whatever you're running from still has your phone number." Claire's mug stopped halfway to her lips. "What?" "The phone call yesterday after left. I could hear you in the hallway." He met her eyes. Someone named Daniel. Someone you don't want to talk to anymore. Her face went pale. You were listening? I wasn't trying to, but yes. She set down her mug with a sharp clink. That's a massive invasion of privacy. You're right, I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Then stop giving me reasons to. The words came out louder than he'd intended. They stared at each other, both breathing hard. Then Claire laughed. It was unexpected, raw, almost painful. God, she said, pressing her hand to her forehead. I don't know whether to fire you or keep you around just to see what you'll say next. I vote for the second option. I'm sure you do. She picked up her mug again, her hand steadier now. Daniel was my fiancé. Past tense. He's been calling for 3 months, trying to convince me to come back to Seattle. And I'm not going back. Why not? Because I spent 10 years building a life that looked perfect on paper and felt empty in practice. Perfect job, perfect relationship, perfect future, all mapped out. Her voice went quiet. And then one day I woke up and realized I couldn't breathe. Ethan understood that feeling more than she knew. So you ran, he said. So I ran. Does it feel better being here? Claire looked around at her pristine empty house. Ask me in 6 months. She left before he could respond. Ethan worked through the afternoon, replacing the damaged pipe sections and testing pressure levels. The physical work was meditative measure, cut, fit, seal test. Simple problems with simple solutions, unlike everything else happening in this house. At 4:30, his phone rang. Emma's school. Mr. Walker. This is Principal Chen. Emma's fine, but she's in the nurse's office complaining of stomach pain. Can you come pick her up? His heart jumped. 15 minutes. He found Claire in her office downstairs typing furiously on a laptop surrounded by psychology journals and half-empty coffee mugs. I have to go, he said from the doorway. Emma's sick at school. Claire's fingers froze on the keyboard. Is she okay? Probably just an upset stomach, but I need to go, of course. We'll figure out the schedule later. I'm sorry to leave in the middle of... Ethan. She looked at him directly. Your daughter is sick. Nothing else matters. Go. He went. Emma was curled up on the nurse's office cot when he arrived, small and pale against the white sheets. Hey, Bug, he said softly, brushing hair from her forehead. What's wrong? My tummy hurts, she whispered. Let's get you home. The nurse thought it was stress from an upcoming spelling test, nothing serious. But Ethan called his mother anyway, got her to walk him through checking Emma's temperature, her symptoms, whether she'd eaten anything unusual. By the time he got Emma settled on the couch with crackers and ginger ale, it was past 7. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Is Emma okay? He stared at the message. How did Claire have his number? Margaret must have given it to her. She's fine. Just stress. Thank you for asking. Good. I was worried. Something warm spread through his chest. I'll be there tomorrow. 8 a.m. You don't have to come if Emma's still sick. My mother's staying with her tomorrow. I'll be there. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Okay. See you then. He set down his phone and looked over at Emma, who was watching him with suspicious 7-year-old eyes. Who are you texting? She asked. A client. You're smiling. I am not. Yes, you are. You only smile like that when you like someone. His heart stopped. Do you like her? It's not, she's just, he ran his hand through his hair. It's complicated, Bug. Mom says you never let anyone get close anymore. Mom says a lot of things. Is it true? Ethan looked at his 7-year-old daughter, too smart, too perceptive, too much like him. Yeah, he said quietly. It's true. What, well, because people leave Em, and when they leave it hurts. Emma thought about this for a long moment. Then, but what if they stay? He didn't have an answer for that. Geshem. Day 3. Claire was waiting by the door when Ethan arrived, 2 coffee mugs already in her hands. Emma, she asked immediately. Back to school. Turned out the spelling test got postponed, so the stress disappeared. Kids, Claire said, handing him coffee. Yeah. They stood there in awkward silence. Then Claire said, Can I meet her? Ethan almost dropped his mug. What? Emma, can I meet her? I was thinking if you're comfortable with it, maybe you could bring her by on Saturday. I could make dinner. Nothing fancy, just... She stopped, uncertainty flickering across her face. Is that weird? That's weird. Forget I said anything. It's not weird. It's definitely weird. Claire, he set down his coffee. I'd like that, and I think Emma would too. Really, really. Her smile was tentative, fragile. Saturday at 6. Perfect. He worked through this morning with a lightness he hadn't felt in years. The bathroom was coming together, new drywall sealed and sanded tile ordered and scheduled for delivery. Everything on track. Claire appeared every hour, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to watch him work. You're very precise, she observed around noon. Have to be. One wrong measurement and the whole thing fails. Is that what happened in your marriage? The question hit him sideways. I'm sorry, Claire said immediately. That was inappropriate. No, he set down his level. It's a fair question. Sarah and I, we were kids when we got married. 22, thought we had all the answers. Then Emma came along and we realized we didn't even know the questions. What broke it? She wanted the life we'd planned before Emma. Freedom, travel, spontaneity. I wanted to build something stable for our daughter. Neither of us was wrong. We just wanted different things. Do you still love her? I love the mother of my child, but I'm not in love with her anymore. Haven't been for a long time. Claire was quiet for a moment. That's the saddest thing I've heard in a while. What about you, Daniel? Did you love him? I thought I did. Turns out I loved the idea of him more than the reality. What's the difference? The idea was perfect, stable, safe. The reality was, she paused, suffocating. So you left. So I left. Does that make you lonely? Claire looked at him with those sharp, sad eyes. Does your precision make you lonely? Every single day. Then we're the same. Something passed between them, a recognition, a mirror, a dangerous understanding. Ethan's phone buzzed. Margaret, how's the Bennett job going? Almost done. Should finish tomorrow. Good, because I have 3 more emergencies lined up for next week. He pocketed his phone and turned back to find Claire watching him. Problem, she asked. Just Margaret. More work coming. You don't sound happy about it. I am. Work is good. Work means I can pay rent and buy Emma's school supplies and save for college. But sometimes I miss being able to plan more than 2 weeks in advance. Claire nodded slowly. I used to have a 5-year plan, then a 10-year plan, then a whole life plan. What happened? I woke up one morning and realized I was living someone else's life. Whose? Everyone's. My parents, Daniel's, my colleagues, everyone except mine. And now I'm trying to figure out what my life actually looks like when I'm the one choosing it. Ethan understood that more than she knew. They worked in comfortable silence for the rest of the afternoon. When he finished, the bathroom looked better than new fresh walls, perfect seals, everything tested and retested. It's done, he said, packing up his tools. Claire ran her hand along the new tile. It's beautiful. If anything goes wrong, call me. I warranty all my work. I will. He handed her an invoice. She wrote a check without even glancing at the total. Ethan, she said as he reached the door. He turned. Saturday, 6 p.m. Don't be late. I won't. And Ethan, yeah, thank you for fixing more than just the pipe. He drove home thinking about the way she'd looked at him when she said it, like he'd repaired something neither of them had known was broken. That night after Emma was asleep, his phone lit up. I'm nervous about Saturday. Ethan smiled at the screen. Me too. What if Emma doesn't like me? Impossible. Everyone likes you. You didn't like me 3 days ago. I didn't know you 3 days ago. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared. What do you think of me now? His thumbs hovered over the keyboard for a long moment. Then he typed, I think you're the scariest person I've ever met, and I can't wait to see you again. Scariest. Should I be offended? You should be impressed. Why? Because nothing scares me anymore. Except you. The 3 dots appeared and stayed there for almost a minute. Then good. Ethan set down his phone and stared at the ceiling. 3 days ago, he'd burst into a stranger's bathroom and committed the worst professional mistake of his life. Now he was bringing his daughter to that stranger's house for dinner. And the terrifying part wasn't that it was happening. It was that he wanted it to happen. That Claire Bennett, brilliant, guarded, lonely, Claire Bennett had looked at him like he was someone worth knowing. And he'd looked back and seen the same thing. 2 people who'd spent years keeping everyone at arm's length. 2 people who were tired of being alone. Two people who just found each other in the wreckage of a burst pipe in a bathroom door. What the hell were they doing? He didn't know. But for the first time in 3 years, he wanted to find out. Saturday arrived like a storm Ethan hadn't prepared for. He stood in front of his closet at 5:30, Emma sitting on his bed watching him with the kind of amused judgment only 7-year-olds could master. "Dad, you've changed shirts 4 times. I'm trying to find the right one. Why you're just going to dinner?" "It's not just dinner, Bug." "Then what is it?" He didn't have an answer that wouldn't terrify him to say out loud. "It's important," he said, finally pulling on a dark blue button-down. "How do I look?" Emma tilted her head. "Like you're going on a date." "It's not a date. Mom says when grown-ups get nervous about dinner, it's always a date." "Your mom says too much." "She also says you need to start dating again or you'll end up alone forever." Ethan turned to face his daughter. "When did she say that?" "Last weekend. On the phone. I wasn't supposed to hear, but I did." His chest tightened. Sarah was right, of course. She was always right about things like this. "Come on," he said, deflecting. "We need to leave in 10 minutes. Did you bring the flowers like I asked?" Emma held up a bouquet of yellow wildflowers they'd picked from the field behind his mother's house. "Right here." "Why yellow?" "Because Claire mentioned once that they were her favorite. When I was fixing her bathroom." Emma's eyes went wide. "You talked about flowers while fixing a bathroom." "We talked about a lot of things." "Do you like her?" There was that question again. Direct, unavoidable. "Yeah, Bug," he said quietly. "I think I do." Emma was silent for a moment. Then she slipped off the bed and straightened his collar with small, serious hands. "Then don't mess it up," she said. They arrived at Claire's house at exactly 6 p.m. Ethan rang the doorbell, his heart hammering so hard he was sure Emma could hear it. Claire opened the door wearing jeans and a soft cream sweater, her hair down for the first time since he'd met her. She looked younger somehow, less guarded. "Hi," she said, her voice nervous. "Hi." They stood there staring at each other like teenagers until Emma cleared her throat. "Oh, sorry," Ethan stepped back. "Claire, this is Emma. This is Ms. Bennett." "Just Claire," Claire said, crouching down to Emma's eye level. "It's really nice to meet you, Emma." Emma studied Claire with the intense scrutiny only children possessed. Then she thrust out the wildflowers. "Dad said yellow is your favorite." Claire's expression cracked open. "They're perfect, thank you." She took the flowers carefully like they were made of glass, and Ethan watched something shift in her eyes. Something soft and unguarded and almost painful. "Come in," Claire said, standing. "I made pasta. I hope that's okay. I wasn't sure what 7-year-olds eat these days." "Pasta's great," Ethan said. "I like pasta," Emma added, "but not the kind with mushrooms. Mushrooms are gross." "No mushrooms, I promise." Claire led them through the house to a dining room Ethan hadn't seen before. The table was set with simple white plates and cloth napkins, and in the center sat a vase, waiting for Emma's wildflowers. It looked like someone actually lived here now. "This is beautiful," Ethan said. "I haven't had dinner guests in," Claire paused, counting. 8 months, maybe 9. I'm a little out of practice." "You're doing great." Their eyes met and held for a beat too long. Emma made a small noise that sounded suspiciously like a giggle. Dinner was easier than Ethan had expected. Claire had made spaghetti carbonara, real carbonara with pancetta and fresh parmesan, the kind that required actual skill. Emma ate 3 helpings and declared it better than Grandma's, which was the highest compliment she knew how to give. They talked about school, about Emma's upcoming science fair project on volcanoes, about Claire's work in behavioral psychology, explained in terms a 7-year-old could understand. "So you help people figure out why they're sad?" Emma asked. "Something like that," Claire said. "I help them understand why they do the things they do. Like when Dad gets quiet and won't talk about his feelings." Ethan nearly choked on his water. It's true, you do that." Claire was fighting a smile. "Does he?" "All the time. Grandma says he bottles everything up until he explodes." "I do not explode. You exploded at the dishwasher last week." "That dishwasher deserved it." Claire laughed a real laugh, bright and unguarded, and the sound did something dangerous to Ethan's chest. After dinner, Emma discovered Claire's bookshelf and disappeared into the living room with a stack of psychology textbooks she absolutely should not have been reading. Ethan helped Claire clear the dishes. She's wonderful, Claire said quietly as they loaded the dishwasher. She's honest to a fault. I like that about her. No filters, no games. Just like her dad. Claire bumped his shoulder with hers. Is that what you think? That you're honest to a fault? I try to be. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. They stood side by side at the sink, their hands moving in unconscious rhythm. Claire washed, Ethan dried. It felt domestic in a way that terrified him. Can I ask you something? Claire said, her voice careful. Sure. When you were married to Sarah, were you happy? Ethan set down the plate he was drying. At first, yeah, we were kids. Everything was easy. Then Emma came along and everything got hard and we realized we didn't know how to be hard together. What do you mean? Sarah wanted to run from difficulty. I wanted to work through it. Neither approach was wrong, but they couldn't coexist. Claire was quiet for a moment. Daniel was the same way. Anytime something got complicated, he'd try to fix it by making it simpler. Cutting out variables, reducing problems to manageable components. But you're not a variable. No, but he treated me like one. Is that why you left? I left because I woke up one day and realized I'd spent 10 years trying to be the woman he wanted instead of figuring out who I actually was. She handed him the last plate, her fingers brushing his. Neither of them moved. And now, Ethan asked quietly, do you know who you are? I'm starting to figure it out. What have you learned so far? Claire met his eyes, that I'm tired of being alone, and that scares me more than anything. Before Ethan could respond, Emma appeared in the doorway, holding a book titled The Architecture of Loneliness. Claire, what does existential isolation mean? Claire's eyes went wide. That book is probably a little... It means feeling alone even when you're surrounded by people, Ethan said, cutting in. Right, Claire. Claire looked at him with something like gratitude. Right. Emma thought about this. Like how Dad gets quiet at Grandma's house, even though we're all there. The observation landed like a stone in still water. Yeah, Bug, Ethan said softly. Like that. Emma nodded, satisfied, and returned to the living room. She sees everything, Claire said. Too much sometimes. Does it bother you that she knows you're lonely? It breaks my heart. The confession came out before he could stop it. Raw, unfiltered. Claire's hand found his on the counter. You're a good father, Ethan. I'm trying to be. You are. They stood there, hands touching the weight of things unsaid, pressing down like gravity. Then Emma called from the living room. Dad, Claire has a piano. Can I play it? Claire's hand jerked back. I didn't know you played piano, Em. I don't, but I could learn. Ethan laughed. Maybe another time, Bug. We should probably head home soon. Already. Emma's disappointment was palpable. It's almost 8. You have school tomorrow. But I don't want to leave yet. Neither do I, Ethan thought, but he didn't say it. Claire walked them to the door. Emma gave her an unprompted hug that made Claire's breath catch. Thank you for dinner, Emma said. Can we come back? Anytime you want. Next Saturday. Claire looked at Ethan. He shrugged helplessly. Next Saturday, Claire confirmed. Emma beamed and skipped toward the truck. Ethan lingered in the doorway. Thank you for tonight, for being so good with her. Thank you for trusting me with her. Claire, yeah. He wanted to say so many things, that she'd look beautiful tonight, that Emma had talked about nothing but this dinner all week, that he couldn't remember the last time he'd felt this nervous and excited and terrified all at once. Instead, he said, see you next Saturday? See you then. He was halfway to the truck when Claire called out, Ethan? He turned. She was standing in the doorway, backlit by warm light, looking small and uncertain and brave. I'm glad you came, she said. Me too. The drive home was quiet. Emma fell asleep in the back seat within 5 minutes, clutching the small book about constellations Claire had given her as a gift. Ethan's phone buzzed at a red light. Emma is wonderful. You're raising an incredible human. He smiled. She likes you. She told me in the truck. Exact quote. Claire is nice and she doesn't talk to me like I am stupid. High praise from a 7-year-old. The highest, Ethan, yeah. I haven't had this much fun in years. Thank you. His thumbs hovered over the keyboard. Same. Let's do it again soon. Next Saturday is already in my calendar. He set the phone down, his chest warm. In the rearview mirror, Emma stirred. Dad, she mumbled, half asleep. Yeah, Bug. I like her. I know. Do you think she likes us back? I think so. Good, Emma yawned. Don't mess it up. I'll try not to. But as he pulled into their driveway, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that messing it up was inevitable. That he and Claire were two broken people trying to build something whole, and this cracks would show eventually. They always did. What he didn't know yet was that the cracks had already started to show, and they were coming from a direction he never saw coming. The call came on Monday morning while Ethan was replacing a garbage disposal for a client across town. Margaret's voice was tight. Ethan, we need to talk. What's wrong? I got a call from Ms. Bennett's property management company. Corporate office. His stomach dropped. And they're questioning the emergency work you did, specifically how you gained access to the house. Margaret, you gave me the lockbox code. I know, but they're saying I didn't have authorization to give out that code for non-scheduled maintenance. It was an emergency. I know that, you know that. But corporate they're opening an investigation. An investigation into what? Into whether proper protocols were followed, into whether Miss Bennett's privacy was violated. The world tilted. Claire wouldn't. She hired me to finish the job. She invited me to dinner. She wouldn't file a complaint. The complaint didn't come from Ms. Bennett. It came from someone else. Who? Margaret hesitated. I don't know. The complaint was anonymous. Ethan leaned against the client's kitchen counter, his mind racing. What does this mean? He asked. It means you need to be careful. Document everything. Keep all communication professional. And maybe keep your distance from Ms. Bennett until this blows over. Margaret, I'm sorry, Ethan. I really am. But this could affect both of us. I need you to lay low. The call ended. Ethan stood there in a stranger's kitchen, staring at his phone, trying to process what had just happened. Someone had filed a complaint. Anonymous. Against him. Someone who knew about the emergency, about the bathroom, about Claire. His phone buzzed. Claire, can you come by this afternoon? I need to talk to you about something. His hands were shaking as he typed back. What's wrong? Not over text. Can you come at 4? I'll be there. The afternoon crawled by like torture. Ethan finished the garbage disposal, drove across town to pick up Emma from school, dropped her at his mother's house with a distracted kiss on the forehead, and arrived at Claire's house at 3:57. She opened the door before he could knock. Her face was pale, drawn, wrong. Come in, she said. He followed her to the living room where she'd laid out papers on the coffee table, official-looking documents with corporate letterhead. What is this? Ethan asked. A complaint filed against you. Anonymous source claiming you violated safety protocols and privacy standards during emergency maintenance. Margaret told me this morning. Claire looked up sharply. You already knew. She called me, said corporate was investigating. Did she tell you who filed it? She said it was anonymous. It's not anonymous. Claire's voice went hard. I know exactly who filed it. Who? Daniel. The name hit Ethan like a fist. Your ex-fiancé. How would he even know about? I told him last week on the phone. He called asking why I wasn't returning to Seattle, and I told him I was building a life here. I mentioned you, mentioned Emma, mentioned dinner, and he filed a complaint. He's a tenured professor at the university. He has connections with corporate property management firms across the state. He's done this before, used professional channels to interfere when he doesn't get what he wants. Ethan sat down hard. Claire, this could destroy my business. If corporate blacklists me, I know, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize he was capable of, her voice cracked. This is my fault. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I brought you into this. I let my past contaminate your present. Claire, you need to stay away from me, Ethan, until this is resolved. If corporate sees us together, it'll only make things worse. I don't care what corporate sees. You should. You have a daughter to support, a business to protect. I'm not worth risking that. Don't say that. It's true. She stood wrapping her arms around herself like armor. Daniel won't stop until he gets what he wants. And what he wants is for me to have nothing and no one here, so I'll come crawling back to Seattle. Then we fight him. You can't fight him, Ethan. He has money and connections and time. You have you, I have you. The words hung in the air like a confession. Claire's eyes filled with tears. You barely know me. I know enough. You know the version of me I want you to see. You don't know the mess underneath. Try me. She laughed bitterly. You want the mess, fine. I spent 10 years in a relationship where I gave up everything, my research, my autonomy, my identity to be the perfect academic wife. I molded myself into what Daniel needed, and when I finally broke, when I finally left, he couldn't accept it. So he followed me. He's been calling, texting, showing up at conferences I attend. 3 months ago, he threatened to ruin my professional reputation if I didn't come back. And now he's going after you. Then we go to the police. And say with that, my ex is making phone calls that he filed a legitimate complaint through proper channels. There's no crime here, Ethan, just emotional terrorism that's perfectly legal. Ethan stood closing the distance between them. So what do you want to do? Run again? Maybe. To where he followed you from Seattle to Ashwood. Where's next? Where do you go when you run out of places to hide? I don't know. The words came out like a scream. I don't know. Okay, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to make him stop. I don't know how to be with someone without destroying everything they've built. Claire, you should go. I'm not leaving. Yes, you are. Because if you stay, he'll file another complaint. And another. He'll dig into your past, your divorce, your custody arrangement. He'll find something to use against you, and he won't stop until you lose everything. Let him try. Ethan, please. Tears were streaming down her face now. I can't be responsible for destroying your life. You're not destroying anything. He is. Because of me. No, because he's a controlling bastard who can't accept that you don't want him anymore. The truth of it sat between them like broken glass. Claire wiped her eyes roughly. I need you to leave, just for a few weeks, until I figure out how to handle this. And what about Saturday Emma's expecting? Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I had to go out of town. I'm not lying to my daughter. Then tell her the truth, that I'm toxic and dangerous and anyone who gets close to me ends up hurt. Stop it. It's true. No, it's not. His voice cracked. You're scared. I get it. I'm scared too, but pushing me away won't fix this. What will? I don't know, but we figure it out together. Claire shook her head. You don't understand. Daniel doesn't lose. Ever. In 10 years, I never won a single argument. Never got a single compromise. He always got what he wanted. Then it's time he learned what losing feels like. She stared at him, something flickering in her eyes. Hope, maybe, or terror. I can't ask you to fight this battle for me, she said quietly. You're not asking, I'm choosing. Why? Because he stopped, took a breath. Because in 3 weeks, you've made me feel more alive than I've felt in 3 years. Because Emma lights up when she talks about you. Because I'm tired of being alone, and I think you are too. Ethan, I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying we're guaranteed to work. But I am saying that I'd rather fight for something real than spend the rest of my life playing it safe. Silence filled the room like water. Then Claire closed the distance between them and kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and messy and tasted like tears and coffee and 3 weeks of wanting something neither of them had been brave enough to name. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Claire pressed her forehead against his. If we do this, she whispered, if we really do this, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I know. Daniel will come after you, after Emma. Let him try him. He'll use everything he can find. Your divorce, your finances, anything he thinks will make you walk away. I'm not walking away. You say that now. Claire, he cupped her face in his hands. I'm not walking away. She searched his eyes for the lie, for the escape hatch, for the inevitable moment when he'd realized she wasn't worth the fight. She didn't find it. Okay, she breathed. Okay. They stood there in her living room, holding each other like survivors of a shipwreck, and Ethan knew with absolute certainty that everything was about to get complicated. But for the first time in years, complicated didn't scare him. What scared him was the possibility of losing this before it even started. His phone buzzed. Emma texting from his mother's phone. Grandma wants to know if you're coming for dinner. She made too much lasagna again. He showed the message to Claire. Go, she said. Be with your daughter. Come with me. What? Come to dinner. Meet my mother. Let Emma see that you're not going anywhere. Ethan, I can't just... Yes, you can, unless you don't want to. Claire bit her lip. Your mother will have questions. My mother always has questions. What do I tell her? The truth that He paused. What are we terrified besides that? Claire smiled despite everything. Hopeful? Yeah, that works. She grabbed her jacket. They drove to his mother's house in separate cars, Claire following Ethan's truck through Ashwood's quiet streets as the sun set orange and gold. His mother's house was small and warm and smelled like marinara and fresh bread. Emma met them at the door. Claire, she threw her arms around Claire's waist. You came. I did. I hope that's okay. It's perfect. Grandma made lasagna and it's the good kind with the ricotta and… She stopped. Wait, why are your eyes red? Were you crying? Claire glanced at Ethan, panicked. We were having a serious conversation, Ethan said carefully. Adult stuff. Emma's eyes narrowed. Are you fighting? No, Bug, we're not fighting. Then why does Claire look sad? Because sometimes serious conversations make people emotional. But we're okay, I promise. Emma studied them both with that unsettling 7-year-old intuition. Then she took Claire's hand. Come meet Grandma. She's going to ask you a million questions, but she's nice, mostly. Ethan's mother, Joan Walker, 62, with her son's eyes and none of his restraint, met them in the kitchen. So you're Claire, she said, wiping her hands on a dish towel. I've heard a lot about you. All good things, I hope. My son doesn't talk about people unless they matter. So yeah, good things. Ethan felt his face heat. Mom, what it's true. Joan turned back to Claire. You're the psychologist, right? The one who moved here from Seattle. Yes, ma'am. Don't ma'am me, I'm Joan, and you're staying for lasagna. It wasn't a question. Dinner was chaotic in the way family dinners always were. Emma talking over everyone, Joan asking pointed questions disguised as small talk, Ethan trying to mediate and failing. But Claire held her own. She answered Joan's questions honestly, talked about her work, her reasons for leaving Seattle, her slowly growing appreciation for small-town life. She didn't mention Daniel, didn't mention the complaint, didn't mention any of the darkness pressing in from the edges. And for 2 hours sitting around Joan Walker's scratched dining table eating too much lasagna and listening to Emma's elaborate explanation of why volcanoes were basically the coolest thing science ever made, everything felt almost normal. Almost. Until Ethan's phone rang. Unknown number. He stepped into the hallway to answer. Hello. Ethan Walker. The voice was smooth, professional, male. Who's calling? My name is Daniel Mercer. I believe you know who I am. Ethan's blood went cold. How did you get this number? It wasn't difficult. I wanted to reach out personally. Colleague to colleague. We're not colleagues. No, but we do have someone in common. Someone I care about very much. If you're calling to threaten me, I'm calling to offer you a piece of advice. Man to man. Daniel's voice dropped. Walk away from Claire. Now, while you still can. Or what? Or I'll make sure that emergency maintenance complaint is just the beginning. I have friends in corporate property management, friends in municipal licensing, friends who can make life very difficult for independent contractors who don't play by the rules. Are you threatening my business? I'm protecting someone I love from making a terrible mistake. Claire doesn't love you anymore. She thinks she doesn't, but she's confused, fragile. She ran away from a good life because she got scared, and now she's latching onto the first person who shows her attention. That's you, Mr. Walker. You're a rebound, a distraction. You don't know anything about us. I know Claire. I know she destroys things when she's self-destructive. I know she'll use you up and spit you out the moment something better comes along. I'm trying to save you the heartbreak by filing false complaints. The complaint wasn't false. You did violate protocol. You did enter her home without proper authorization. I simply made sure the proper authorities were notified. You manipulative son of a… Careful, Mr. Walker. Threats don't look good in custody hearings. Ethan's heart stopped. What did you say? You have a daughter, correct, Emma. 7 years old, joint custody with your ex-wife. Daniel's voice turned cold. I'd hate for Sarah to hear about how you're bringing your daughter around a woman you barely know. How you're involving Emma in an unstable relationship with someone who has a documented history of erratic behavior. Claire doesn't have any history of. She quit her job without notice, left the state without telling her family, isolated herself in a small town where she knows no one. That's not stability, Mr. Walker. That's a breakdown, and judges don't look kindly on parents who expose their children to unstable situations. You stay away from my daughter. Then stay away from Claire. It's that simple. Walk away. Let her come back to Seattle where she belongs. And I'll make sure that complaint disappears. Your business reputation stays intact. Your custody arrangement remains undisturbed. Everyone wins. Everyone except Claire. Claire will be fine once she remembers what she's missing. She just needs time and space. Space you're currently occupying. Ethan's hand was shaking so hard he could barely hold the phone. Does Claire know you're calling me? Claire doesn't need to know everything I do to protect her. That's not protection. That's control. Call it what you want, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to end whatever this is with Claire. You're going to tell her you can't see her anymore, and you're going to do it before the end of the week. And if I don't, then I start making calls to corporate, to licensing boards, to your ex-wife's lawyer, and we'll see how long you can afford to be noble when your business and your custody are both on the line. The call ended. Ethan stood in the hallway, his heart hammering, his mind racing. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about Emma, and Daniel Mercer had just made it clear that he'd burn down everything Ethan had built if it meant getting Claire back. He returned to the dining room on autopilot. Claire took one look at his face and stood. What's wrong? We need to talk alone. Joan immediately took Emma into the kitchen to help with dishes, leaving Ethan and Claire in the dining room. What happened? Claire asked. Daniel called me. Her face went white. What? He called my cell, told me to walk away from you or he'd destroy my business and go after my custody of Emma. Oh my God. Claire sank into a chair. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. This is exactly what I told you would happen. He's escalating, and now he's threatening your daughter. He's bluffing. He's not. Claire's voice cracked. Daniel doesn't bluff. If he says he'll call Sarah's lawyer, he will. If he says he'll destroy your business, he'll find a way. He's methodical and patient, and he always follows through. Then we get a restraining order. On what grounds he made a phone call, offered advice? There's no legal threat in anything he said. He threatened my custody. He implied it might be affected. That's not the same as a direct threat. Daniel's too smart to say anything actionable. Claire stood pacing. This is what he does. He finds the pressure points and he pushes until you break. And the worst part is it's all technically legal. Ethan grabbed her shoulders. Then we make him stop. How? I don't know yet, but we figure it out. Ethan, listen to me. You need to walk away. Not because I want you to, because Emma needs you to. If Daniel goes after your custody, he won't get anywhere. Sarah and I have a solid arrangement. We're good co-parents. There's nothing there for him to exploit. Are you sure about that? Because Daniel will dig up every argument, every late pickup, every homework assignment you forgot to sign. He'll twist it into a pattern of negligence. Let him try. I've got 3 years of being a good father. That speaks louder than anything he can manufacture. Claire pulled away. You're not hearing me. This isn't about the truth. It's about the fight, the time, the legal fees, the stress. Can you afford all of that and still be present for Emma? Can you afford to let him control your life forever? The question landed like a slap. They stared at each other, both breathing hard. I don't know what to do, Claire whispered. Yes, you do. You fight. I've been fighting for 10 years. I'm tired. Then let me fight with you. Why would you do that? You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brave enough to walk away from a life that was killing you. I know you're kind enough to have dinner with a 7-year-old you'd never met. I know you're strong enough to build a new life in a place where you knew no one. He took her hands. And I know that Daniel Mercer doesn't get to win just because he's louder. Tears streamed down Claire's face. If we do this, if we really fight him, it's going to get ugly. I know. He'll say terrible things about me, about you. He'll try to turn people against us. Let him. You could lose clients, lose income, I could also lose you, and that scares me more. Claire pulled him close, burying her face in his chest. They stood there in his mother's dining room, holding each other, while the world outside prepared to tear them apart. And Ethan knew with absolute certainty that the easy part was over. Now came the war. The war started on Wednesday. Ethan was replacing a water heater in the Hendersons' basement when Margaret called, her voice shaking. "They're pulling your contract." He nearly dropped his wrench. "What?" "Corporate. They're terminating our emergency maintenance agreement effective immediately. They cited the complaint and said they can't risk liability with contractors who have questionable judgment." "Margaret, that's half my income." "I know. I fought them, Ethan. I showed them your work history, your safety record, everything." But Daniel Mercer's complaint came with documentation from 3 different property management firms, all expressing concerns about your protocols. 3 firms. How is that even possible? "He has connections, a lot of them." Margaret's voice broke. "I'm so sorry. I tried everything." The call ended. Ethan sat on the Hendersons' concrete floor, staring at his phone, doing math in his head. Without Margaret's contract, he'd lose 60% of his steady work. He could survive maybe 2 months before he'd have to dip into Emma's college fund. His phone buzzed. "Claire, how are you holding up?" He wanted to lie, wanted to say everything was fine. "Just lost my biggest contract." "Daniel's already moving." 3 dots appeared immediately. "I'm coming over. I'm at a job site. Then I'm coming there. Send me the address." "Claire, you don't have to address. Now." He sent it. She arrived 20 minutes later, pulling up in her sleek black sedan, looking completely out of place in the Hendersons' working-class neighborhood. She was still wearing business clothes, fitted pants, and a blazer like she'd run straight from a meeting. "You didn't have to come," Ethan said, meeting her at the door. "Yes, I did." She looked at him with fierce eyes. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough that I need to finish this job before I can talk about it." "Then I'll wait." She sat on the Hendersons' front steps while he finished installing the water heater, testing connections, making sure everything was perfect. When he emerged an hour later, she was still there, scrolling through her phone with a grim expression. "What are you looking at?" he asked. "Legal options, harassment laws, restraining order requirements." She looked up. "I've been researching for the past 45 minutes. There has to be something we can do." And Daniel's smart enough to stay just inside the legal boundaries. Everything he's doing is technically within his rights as a concerned citizen reporting protocol violations. That's not what this is, and you know it. I know, but proving it is different than knowing it. They sat on the steps together, the afternoon sun warm on their faces. "I'm not walking away," Ethan said quietly. "I know. Even if it costs me everything." "Don't say that." "Why not?" "It's true. I'd rather lose the business than lose you." Claire turned to face him. "You barely know me, Ethan. We've had, 3 dinners, a few conversations. You can't throw away your livelihood for someone you just met. Stop telling me what I can and can't do. I'm trying to protect you." "I don't need protection. I need you to stop pushing me away every time things get hard." The words hung between them like a challenge. Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Everyone leaves eventually, everyone. My parents, my friends from graduate school, Daniel when I didn't fit his perfect plan anymore. People say they'll stay and then they don't, so forgive me for expecting the same from you." "I'm not everyone." "How do I know that?" "Because I'm still here." She stared at him, searching for the crack, the weakness, the inevitable moment when he'd prove her right. "I'm terrified," she whispered. "Me too. What if we do this and it doesn't work? What if we don't do this and spend the rest of our lives wondering?" Claire laughed through her tears. "That's not comforting." "I'm not trying to be comforting. I'm trying to be honest." She leaned her head on his shoulder. They sat there on someone else's front steps. 2 people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their old lives, trying to figure out how to build something new. Ethan's phone rang. Emma's school. Again, his heart jumped. "This is Ethan." "Mr. Walker, this is Principal Chen. We need you to come to the school immediately." "What's wrong? Is Emma hurt?" "She's not hurt, but there's been an incident. We need to discuss it in person. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He stood, panic rising. "I have to go. Emma's school just called." Claire stood with him. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to." "I'm coming." They drove separately but arrived at the same time. Principal Chen met them in the main office, her expression carefully neutral. What happened? Ethan demanded. Emma got into an altercation with another student. She pushed him during recess. Emma doesn't push people. What provoked it? Principal Chen hesitated. The other student made a comment about you, about your parenting. Ethan's blood went cold. What kind of comment? He told Emma that his mother said you were a bad father who let strangers around his daughter. Claire made a small, wounded sound. Where did he hear that? Ethan asked, though he already knew the answer. His mother received a call from someone claiming to be a concerned community member. The caller mentioned that you were involving Emma in an inappropriate relationship with a woman you barely knew. The mother repeated it to her son, who repeated it to Emma. Daniel, Claire breathed. Who's Daniel? Principal Chen asked. Someone trying to destroy our lives, Ethan said flatly. Where's Emma now? In my office. She's upset, but she understands that physical violence isn't acceptable regardless of provocation. I need to see her. Of course. But Mr. Walker, I have to tell you, this kind of incident goes in her file. If there are more behavioral issues, we'll need to discuss whether this school is the right fit. The implication was clear. One more problem and Emma would be looking at suspension, maybe expulsion. Exactly what Daniel wanted. Emma was sitting in a chair too big for her, her face blotchy from crying. When she saw Ethan, she launched herself at him. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know I'm not supposed to push people, but he said you were a bad dad and I got so mad and I just... Shh, it's okay, Bug. I'm not mad. You're not. No, I'm proud of you for defending me, but we don't use our hands when we're angry. We use our words. I tried. I told him he was wrong and he laughed at me. Ethan held her close, feeling her small body shake. Over Emma's head, he saw Claire standing in the doorway, tears streaming silently down her face. Can we go home? Emma asked. Yeah, Bug, let's go home. In the parking lot, Emma noticed Claire. Why is Claire crying? She asked. Because she's sad about what happened to you. It's not her fault. I know. But sometimes we feel sad about things even when they're not our fault. Emma walked over to Claire and took her hand. Don't be I'm okay. Claire crouched down to Emma's level. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry that someone said mean things about your dad because of me. It wasn't because of you. It was because that boy's mom is a gossip. Dad says gossiping is what people do when they don't have anything interesting in their own lives. Despite everything, Claire smiled. Your dad is very wise. I know. He's the best dad ever. The simple declaration shattered something in Ethan's chest. They stood in the parking lot, Ethan, Claire, and a mom, while the world they were trying to build crumbled around them. I need to call Sarah, Ethan said. She needs to hear about this from me before Daniel finds a way to spin it. Do you want me to stay? Claire asked. Yeah, please. They drove to Ethan's apartment, a small two-bedroom place that Emma had decorated with crayon drawings and science fair posters. Claire had never been there before. It felt oddly intimate, showing her this life he'd built from the ruins of his marriage. Emma went to her room to read. Ethan called Sarah. She answered on the second ring. What's wrong? How do you know something's wrong? Because you never call in the middle of the day. What happened? He told her everything, the incident at school, the anonymous call to another parent, Daniel's campaign to make him look like an unfit father. Sarah was silent for a long moment. Is this about that woman you have been seeing? She asked finally. Her name is Claire, and yes, her ex-fiancé is trying to force her back to Seattle by destroying anyone in her life, including our daughter. Yes. Another silence. Sarah, I need you to know I would never put Emma in danger. Claire is good for her, good for both of us. I believe you. You do, Toyin. Ethan, in 3 years of co-parenting, you've never been late for a pickup, never missed a school event, never put anything before Emma's well-being. If you say this woman is good for our daughter, did he believe you? Relief flooded through him. Thank you. But I need you to understand something. If this escalates, if Emma's safety or emotional well-being is compromised, I will fight for primary custody, not because I want to, because I have to. I understand. Because right now you're in the middle of a war that's already affecting her school life. How much worse does it have to get before you walk away? I'm not walking away. Then you need to end this, Fast, before Emma gets hurt worse than she already has been. The call ended. Ethan stood in his small kitchen, staring at his phone, feeling the walls close in. Claire appeared in the doorway. How bad? She believes me, but if this continues affecting Emma, she'll file for primary custody. Then I'm leaving. What? I'm leaving Ashwood tomorrow. I'll go back to Seattle, tell Daniel he won, and end this before it destroys your relationship with Emma. No. Ethan, you can't lose your daughter because of me. I'm not going to lose my daughter, and you're not leaving. How can you say that? You heard Sarah. One more incident, and she files for custody. You think Daniel won't create more incidents? This is what he does. He manufactures crises until everyone around me collapses. Then we stop giving him ammunition. How? Ethan's mind raced. There had to be a way. Some angle Daniel hadn't considered. Then it hit him. We go public, he said. What? We stop hiding. Stop letting Daniel control the narrative. We tell everyone exactly what's happening. Ethan, that's insane. Is it right now Daniel's operating in the shadows? Anonymous calls, quiet complaints. But if we expose what he's doing, if we make it public that he's harassing us, targeting my business, manipulating other parents, he loses his power. Or we look like unstable conspiracy theorists. Not if we have proof. What proof? His phone call to me. I can subpoena my phone records, show the exact timestamp of when he called and threatened my custody. That's evidence. Claire shook her head. It's one phone call. He'll say it was a concerned conversation between adults. Then we document everything from now on. Every call, every incident, every anonymous complaint. We build a case so airtight that even Daniel's connections can't save him. And in the meantime, while we're building this case, we live our lives. We refuse to hide. We show Emma and everyone else that we're not ashamed of being together. Claire looked at him like he'd lost his mind. You want to double down. I want to stop running. This could backfire spectacularly. It could, or it could work. She studied him for a long moment. You're serious about this, completely. Even though it might cost you everything, even then. Claire crossed the kitchen and kissed him hard. When she pulled back, her eyes were fierce. Okay, she said, let's fight. That night, Ethan sat down with Emma and explained everything in 7-year-old terms. There's a man who used to be important to Claire, he said. He's upset that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. So he's being mean to people she cares about, including us. Emma's eyes were wide. Why? Because he thinks if he makes her life hard enough, she'll go back to him. That's stupid. You can't make someone love you by being mean. You're absolutely right, but some people don't understand that. Is Claire going to leave? The question pierced his heart. I don't know, Bug. I hope not. But she might decide that being around us is too hard. Because of the mean man. Yeah. Emma thought about this seriously. Then she said, we should tell everyone what he's doing. Like when Tommy was bullying Sarah Chen and the teacher made him apologize in front of the whole class. Ethan stared at his daughter. That's actually not a bad idea. Really? Really? You're a genius, you know that. Emma beamed. Can Claire stay for dinner? She already left Bug, but she'll be back. Promise. He wanted to promise. Wanted to guarantee that Claire would stay, that Daniel would fail, that everything would work out. But he'd learned the hard way that some promises couldn't be kept. I hope so, he said instead. I really hope so. The next morning, Ethan walked into the Ashwood Community Center during the weekly business owners' breakfast, a gathering he usually avoided because networking felt like torture. But today he needed witnesses. Margaret was there. So was Bill Henderson, whose water heater Ethan had just installed. The mayor, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, 30 local business owners who knew his face, if not his name. He stood up when the meeting opened for community announcements. My name is Ethan Walker. Most of you know me as the guy who fixes your pipes and electrical problems. I'm here today because someone is trying to destroy my business, and I want you to hear the truth directly from me. The room went silent. 3 weeks ago, I responded to an emergency call at a property in Ashwood. A pipe had burst, and I used the access code provided by the property manager to prevent catastrophic flooding. I've followed protocol. I did my job. But because I've started a personal relationship with the homeowner, her ex-fiancé has filed complaints against me with multiple property management firms. He's made anonymous calls to parents at my daughter's school, suggesting I'm an unfit father. He's threatened my business, my custody arrangement, and my reputation. People were staring, some sympathetic, some skeptical. I'm not here to ask for pity. I'm here to make a public record. Daniel Mercer, a professor at the University of Washington, is engaging in a coordinated harassment campaign against me because I'm dating his ex-fiancée, and I'm done being quiet about it. He sat down. The room erupted in whispers. Margaret looked horrified. The mayor looked uncomfortable. But Bill Henderson stood up. I've known Ethan Walker for 4 years, Bill said. He's never been late, never overcharged, never done anything but honest work. If someone's coming after him for personal reasons, that's not right. Another voice. Mary Chen from the bakery. My nephew goes to school with Emma Walker. She's a sweet kid. What happened yesterday wasn't her fault. More voices joined in, not everyone, but enough. Enough that when the meeting ended, 3 business owners approached Ethan with job offers. Enough that the mayor pulled him aside and said, document everything. If this escalates to legal harassment, the town attorney might be able to help. It wasn't a victory, but it was a start. Ethan called Claire from the parking lot. I just made a public statement at the business owner's breakfast. Told everyone what Daniel's doing. She was quiet for a moment. How did they react? Mixed. But some people believed me, offered support. Ethan, this is going to make him angrier. Good. Let him be angry. At least now we're controlling the story. Or we're escalating a fight we can't win. Do you trust me? Yes, but I don't trust him. Then trust that I know what I'm doing. He could hear her breathing on the other end. Finally, okay, what's next? Next we go to dinner, publicly, at the nicest restaurant in town. We show everyone that we're not hiding. That's your planned dinner. That's step 1. Step 2 is filing a formal complaint against Daniel with the Washington State Bar Association for witness intimidation. He's not a lawyer. No, but he's a professor who holds significant influence over graduate students and junior faculty. Using that influence to harass civilians crosses ethical lines. I called a lawyer this morning. She thinks we have a case. Claire laughed, a surprised, almost disbelieving sound. You called a lawyer? I called 3 lawyers. One specializes in harassment cases. She wants to talk to you. When did you have time to do all this? I didn't sleep last night. Ethan. I'm not letting him win, Claire. I don't care how connected he is or how much money he has. I'm not letting him take you away from me. The line was quiet. Then Claire said, I love you. The words hit him like lightning. What? I love you. I know it's too soon and too complicated and probably too stupid given everything that's happening. But I need you to know, in case this all falls apart, in case Daniel wins, I need you to know that you matter to me. Ethan's throat was tight. You matter to me too. Is that your way of saying you love me back? I'm terrified to say it out loud. Why, Mom? Because the last time I said those words to someone, it ended with divorce papers and a custody schedule. I'm not Sarah. I know. Then say it or don't. But don't hold back because you're scared of what happened before. He took a breath. I love you, Claire Bennett. I love your sharp mind and your sad eyes and the way you talk to Emma like she's a real person. I love that you're brave enough to start over and terrified enough to be honest about it. I love you, and I'm not letting Daniel Mercer take that away. She was crying. He could hear it in her breathing. Saturday, she said, dinner, the nicest restaurant in town. It's a date. Ethan. Yeah. Thank you for fighting for me. No one's ever done that before. Get used to it. The call ended. Ethan sat in his truck, his hands shaking adrenaline and terror, and something that felt dangerously like hope coursing through him. He'd just declared war on a man with unlimited resources and no conscience. But he'd also just told Claire Bennett he loved her. And somehow that felt like the braver choice. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct he answered. Hello. That was quite a performance this morning. Daniel's voice was ice. Making public accusations. Turning people against me. Very dramatic. I told the truth. You told your version. But here's the thing about small towns, Mr. Walker. They love a good story. And I'm about to give them a better one. What does that mean? It means you should check your email. I've sent documentation to the Ashwood Tribune, details about your divorce. The real reason Sarah left. The custody battle you're so desperate to avoid talking about. Ethan's blood turned to ice. There was no custody battle. We agreed on joint custody. After she threatened to file for full custody because of your anger issues. I have the court documents, the therapy records, everything. Those records are sealed. Sealed, not destroyed, and I have friends who know how to access sealed records. You're lying. Am I check your email, Mr. Walker? Front page of tomorrow's Tribune. Local handyman's dark past, why his ex-wife really left. Complete with quotes from your therapist about your difficulty controlling emotions under stress. The world tilted. I went to 3 therapy sessions after the divorce for grief counseling. There were no anger issues. Are you sure about that? Because the notes I'm looking at tell a different story. You falsified documents. Prove it in court. With lawyers you can't afford. While fighting for custody you might lose. All because you couldn't walk away from a woman who isn't worth the trouble. Claire is worth everything. Then I guess we'll see how much everything costs, won't we? The line went dead. Ethan sat frozen, his mind racing. Daniel had just raised the stakes beyond anything Ethan had prepared for. Sealed therapy records, fabricated evidence, a smear campaign designed to destroy him publicly before he could fight back legally. And it would print tomorrow morning, unless he could stop it tonight. He called the lawyer he'd spoken to that morning. I need your help, now. Daniel Mercer just told me he's publishing falsified therapy records in the local paper tomorrow. Can you prove they're falsified? I have the real records, from my therapist. They show 3 sessions of standard grief counseling. Nothing about anger issues. Get them to me in the next hour. I'll draft an emergency cease and desist and file an injunction with the court to block publication. Will it work? If we move fast enough. But Ethan, this is going to be expensive. Legal fees, court costs, potential defamation suit. We're looking at 10, maybe 15,000 just to start. Money he didn't have. Money that would wipe out Emma's college fund. Do it, he said. He hung up and immediately called his therapist, Dr. Sarah Lynn, who'd helped him process the divorce 3 years ago. Ethan, it's been a while. What's going on? Someone is trying to publish falsified versions of my therapy records. They claim you documented anger issues and concerns about my stability. I need you to confirm that's not true. It's absolutely not true. You came to me for grief counseling. 3 sessions. You were sad, not angry, confused, not unstable. I can provide the real records if you need them. I need them tonight. Someone's trying to destroy my life, and this is how they're doing it. Give me 2 hours. I'll have everything ready. The next 2 hours were the longest of Ethan's life. He picked up Emma from his mother's house, made her dinner, helped with homework, gave her a bath, read her a story, all while his phone buzzed with updates from his lawyer. Records received from Dr. Lynn. Cease and desist drafted. Filing emergency motion with the court. Judge reviewing now. At 9 p.m. his lawyer called. We got the injunction. The Tribune can't publish without facing contempt charges. Daniel's story is dead. Relief flooded through him. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Daniel will try something else. This is just round 1. I know. Ethan, I need to ask, is she worth this, the woman you're protecting? He thought about Claire's fierce eyes, Emma's instant connection with her, the way his life had felt less empty since she'd appeared in it. Yeah, he said, she's worth it. Then let's win this. After Emma was asleep, Ethan texted Claire. Daniel tried to publish fake therapy records in the Tribune. We blocked it. Oh my God, are you okay? I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. How much did this cost? Don't worry about it. Ethan, how much? $3,000 for the emergency injunction. More to come. I'm paying you back. No, you're not. Yes, I am. This is my fault. It's Daniel's fault, not yours. I'm coming over. It's late. Emma's asleep. I don't care. I need to see you. She arrived 20 minutes later, still in the clothes she'd worn all day, her hair messy, her eyes red. Ethan met her at the door, and she collapsed into his arms. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Stop apologizing. I can't. Every time I think it can't get worse, Daniel finds a new way to hurt you. Then we make him stop. How he has unlimited money and resources and time. What do we have? Each other. She pulled back to look at him. That's not enough. It's all we need. You're insane. Probably. She kissed him desperately, like she was trying to memorize the taste of him before everything fell apart. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Claire said, I have an idea. It's risky and possibly illegal, and you're going to hate it. Tell me anyway. I record our next conversation with Daniel. Get him to admit what he's doing. Use it as evidence. That's not illegal. In Washington, it is. Single-party consent recording is legal, but if I'm recording in anticipation of a lawsuit, it becomes inadmissible. What if you're recording for your own safety? Claire paused. That might work, if I can prove I felt threatened. You are threatened. He's stalking you across state lines. I'd have to bait him into calling me, make him think he's winning. I don't like this. I know, but it might be our only option. Ethan thought about it, about the risks, the legal gray area, the possibility it could backfire. Then he thought about Daniel's voice on the phone, smug, certain, untouchable. Do it, he said, but I'm there when you make the call, and we run everything past my lawyer first. Okay? They stood in his small living room planning their next move against a man who'd already proven he'd stop at nothing. And Ethan knew with absolute certainty that they were running out of time before Daniel's next attack. The only question was whether they'd be ready when it came. The call to Daniel happened 3 days later in Ethan's lawyer's office, with recording equipment set up and a witness present. Claire sat in a leather chair that made her look smaller than she was, her phone on speaker, her hands shaking. You don't have to do this, Ethan said one more time. Yes, I do. The lawyer Jessica Morrison, a sharp woman in her 50s who'd seen every dirty divorce trick in the book, nodded. Remember, we need him to explicitly admit to the harassment, threatening your relationship, targeting Ethan's business, manipulating the school situation. We need clear, unambiguous statements. What if he doesn't take the bait? Claire asked. Then we try again. But men like Daniel love to gloat when they think they're winning. Give him that opening. Claire took a breath and dialed. He answered on the first ring. Claire, I was wondering when you'd call. We need to talk. I'm listening. I want this to stop. All of it. The complaints against Ethan, the calls to parents, the fabricated records. I need you to leave him alone. Daniel's laugh was cold. Why would I do that when everything's working exactly as planned? Claire's eyes flicked to Jessica, who nodded encouragingly. What do you mean? Claire asked. I mean, in 3 days, I've cost him his biggest contract, damaged his reputation, and nearly destroyed his custody arrangement. Another week and he'll have nothing left. He'll walk away from you on his own. You can't just ruin someone's life because you want me back. I'm not ruining his life. I'm showing you what happens when you choose poorly, when you attach yourself to someone beneath you. Ethan is not beneath me. He's a handyman, Claire, a divorced father living in a 2-bedroom apartment who can barely afford his own life, much less support yours. You really think that's better than what we had? What we had was a cage. What we had was perfect until you sabotaged it with your breakdown. Jessica wrote something on her notepad. Keep him talking. Claire's voice hardened. I didn't have a breakdown. I woke up. You ran away, like a child. And now you're playing house with a man who has nothing to offer you except chaos and complications. He offers me honesty, something you never did. I offered you everything, a career, a home, a future. I built our entire life around making you happy. You built a life around controlling me. I protected you from your own self-destructive impulses. Someone had to. You've always been reckless, Claire, always making emotional decisions instead of logical ones. Like leaving you, exactly like that. You threw away 10 years because of temporary stress. Now you're doing it again with this handyman fantasy. But I'm not letting you destroy yourself this time. You don't get to decide that. Yes, I do, because you can't see clearly when you're in the middle of one of your episodes. Jessica wrote medical diagnosis language. Gold. Claire's hands were shaking harder now. I'm not having an episode. You left a prestigious position without notice, isolated yourself in a town where you know no one, started a relationship with the first man who showed you attention. Those are textbook crisis behaviors, Claire. You need help, not enablement. I need you to leave me alone. I will, as soon as you come home to Seattle where you belong. I'm not coming home. Yes, you are, because I've already contacted your former department head. Told him you're experiencing a mental health crisis and might be a danger to yourself. He's very concerned. He's willing to offer you medical leave if you come back and get treatment. Claire's face went white. You told him what? That you're unstable, that you've been making erratic decisions, that you need intervention before you hurt yourself or others. I'm not unstable. Then why did you quit your job without notice? Why did you move across the state? Why are you involving a 7-year-old child in your emotional crisis? Ethan's fists clenched. Jessica put a hand on his arm, shaking her head. I'm building a new life, Claire said, her voice cracking. That's not a crisis. That's growth. It's running, and it's putting others at risk. That little girl, Emma, she doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle of your breakdown. Neither does her father. I'm not putting anyone at risk. Really, because Ethan Walker is about to lose his business and possibly his daughter because of you. Is that not risk? That's because of you. You're the one filing complaints and making calls and threatening people. I'm protecting you from making another catastrophic mistake. By destroying everyone around me, by showing you the consequences of your choices, you want to build a life with someone fine, but not with him, not with someone who can't protect you from people like me. There it was, clear, direct, recorded. Jessica circled the statement on her notepad and underlined it twice. Claire's voice went deadly quiet. Did you just admit you're trying to destroy Ethan to get to me? A pause. Then I'm doing what's necessary. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're going to get. Now here's what happens next. You end things with Ethan Walker. You come back to Seattle. You apologize to your former colleagues for your behavior. And we start over. Fresh. Like none of this happened. And if I don't, then I escalate. I have a folder full of information about Ethan's ex-wife, about their divorce, about incidents during the marriage that would concern any family court judge. I also have connections at Child Protective Services. One call from a concerned citizen about a child being exposed to unstable adults, and they open an investigation. That investigation alone could take months, months of stress, months of legal fees, months of uncertainty, while Emma wonders why people keep asking her questions about whether she feels safe at home. Claire was crying now, silently, tears streaming down her face. You're a monster, she whispered. I'm someone who loves you enough to fight for you. There's a difference. No, there's not. 1 week, Claire. I'll give you 1 week to make the right decision. After that, I make the call to CPS. And we'll see how much Ethan Walker loves you when he's fighting to keep his daughter. The line went dead. Claire dropped the phone like it had burned her. Jessica stopped the recording. We got it. All of it. The admission of harassment, the threats against Ethan's custody, the manipulation tactics. This is exactly what we needed. But Claire wasn't listening. She was staring at her hands, her whole body shaking. He's going to call CPS, she said. He's going to destroy Emma's life. Not if we move first, Jessica said. With this recording, I can file for a protective order, document the harassment pattern, get ahead of any CPS call by showing it's part of a coordinated attack. Will it work? Ethan asked. It should, but there's a risk. If Daniel's connections are as deep as he claims, CPS might investigate anyway. And once an investigation is opened, it can't be unopened. Even if you're cleared, it stays in your record. Ethan felt the floor drop out from under him. For how long? Potentially forever. Every future background check, every custody review, every time Emma's safety comes into question, this investigation will be there. So even if we win, I lose. Not necessarily. If we can prove this is part of Daniel's harassment campaign before CPS gets involved, we might be able to prevent the investigation entirely. But we need to move fast, today. Claire stood abruptly. I'm leaving. Everyone turned to stare at her. What? Ethan said. I'm going back to Seattle. Tonight. I'll tell Daniel he won. I'll get him to back off. It's the only way to stop this before Emma gets hurt. Claire, no, Yes, her voice broke. I'm not letting him destroy your daughter to get to me. I'm not doing that. Running won't solve this. It'll end it. That's enough. For him, not for you. I don't care about me. Well, I do. Ethan stood, closing the distance between them. I care about you. Emma cares about you. You don't get to make this decision alone. Yes, I do. It's my past, my mess, my responsibility to fix. By sacrificing yourself, if that's what it takes. That's not fixing anything. That's just giving him exactly what he wants. Claire's face crumpled. Then what do you want me to do? Stay here and watch him destroy you. Watch him traumatize Emma with CPS investigations and custody battles. Watch your entire life collapse because I was too selfish to walk away. I want you to fight with me, not for me, not instead of me, with me. I don't know how to do that. Then learn, we both learn, together. Jessica cleared her throat. I hate to interrupt, but we're running out of time. If Daniel makes that CPS call, before we file these documents, we lose our advantage. I need an answer. Do we move forward with the protective order or not? Claire looked at Ethan, her eyes full of tears and terror. What if this makes it worse? She whispered. What if it makes it better? You're asking me to gamble with Emma's safety. I'm asking you to trust that we can win this. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned to Jessica. File it. File everything. But if this backfires, if Emma gets hurt because of this, I will never forgive myself. Noted, Jessica said, already pulling out her laptop. I need both of you to sign statements. Then I'm filing with the court this afternoon. The paperwork took 2 hours. Statements detailing every threat, every manipulation, every incident going back to when Claire first left Seattle. The recording was transcribed and notarized. Evidence was compiled into a binder thick enough to use as a weapon. When they finished, Jessica looked at them both seriously. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. Daniel will retaliate. He might make good on his CPS threat before the court can intervene. Are you both prepared for that? No, Ethan said honestly, but we're doing it anyway. Good, because once we file, there's no going back. She filed at 4 p.m. By 6 p.m., Ethan's phone was ringing. Sarah. I just got a call from Child Protective Services, she said without preamble. Someone reported concerns about Emma's welfare. They're opening an investigation. Ethan's world stopped. They're sending a caseworker tomorrow morning to both our houses. They want to interview Emma separately. Sarah, I can explain. Don't, not over the phone. I'm coming to your apartment. We need to talk about this face to face. I'm picking up Emma from school in 20 minutes. I'll meet you there. And Ethan, whatever's happening, whatever you've gotten yourself into, fix it fast, because I'm not letting our daughter get caught in the middle of your drama. She hung up. Claire had been listening. Her face was gray. He did it. He actually did it. We knew he might. Knowing and experiencing are different things. She grabbed her purse. I need to leave before Sarah gets there. She doesn't need to see me right now. Claire. No, Ethan. Sarah's right. Emma is what matters. Not us, not this, her. And right now, my presence just makes everything worse. That's not true. Yes, it is. Call me after you talk to Sarah. Tell me what happens with CPS, but right now I need to not be another complication in your life. She left before he could argue. Ethan drove to Emma's school in a daze. His daughter came bounding out with her backpack and a drawing she'd made in art class. Dad, look, I made a volcano with real tissue paper lava, he forced a smile. It's beautiful bug. Can we show Claire? His heart cracked. Maybe later. Right now we need to go home. Your mom's coming over. Why, it's not her weekend. She just wants to talk. Adult stuff. Emma's face fell. In her 7 years of life, she'd learned that adult stuff usually meant something bad. Sarah was waiting in his apartment parking lot, leaning against her car with her arms folded. She looked like she hadn't slept. Emma, why don't you go inside and start your homework? Ethan said. Your mom and I need to talk out here first. Am I in trouble? Emma asked in a small voice. No, baby, Sarah said immediately. You're perfect. We just need to have a grown-up conversation. Emma nodded and trudged inside her volcano drawing, clutched to her chest. The moment she was gone, Sarah turned on Ethan. Start talking. Right now. What the hell is going on? He told her everything. Daniel, the harassment, the recording, the protective order they just filed, the threats against Emma. Sarah listened in silence, her face getting paler with each sentence. When he finished, she said, You brought this into our daughter's life. I didn't bring anything. You started dating a woman with a psychotic ex-boyfriend who's now targeting our child. How is that not bringing this into her life? Claire is not responsible for what Daniel's doing. I don't care whose fault it is. I care that a CPS caseworker is coming to my house tomorrow to interview my daughter about whether she feels safe around you. Sarah, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't make the investigation disappear. Sorry doesn't protect Emma from the trauma of being questioned by strangers about her home life. I know all of that, and I'm doing everything I can to stop it. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, you're making it worse by refusing to walk away from this woman. Her name is Claire. I don't care what her name is. I care that she's destroying our co-parenting relationship and putting Emma in danger. She's not the one putting Emma in danger. Daniel is. And if you walked away from Claire, Daniel would have no reason to keep attacking. So yes, she is the reason. She is the danger. The words hit Ethan like a slap. You want me to end it, he said flatly. I want you to prioritize our daughter over your love life. I am prioritizing Emma. That's why I'm fighting this instead of giving in to Daniel's threats. No, you're fighting this because you're too stubborn to admit you made a mistake. You met a woman you got involved too fast, and now you're paying the price. So is Emma. I love her, and Sarah's laugh was bitter. You barely know her. I know enough. You said the same thing about me. Look how that turned out. The comparison stung because it was true. He had rushed into marriage with Sarah, had thought love was enough to overcome their differences. But this was different. Claire was different. Wasn't she? What do you want me to do? He asked quietly. I want you to end it with Claire. Today. I want you to tell Daniel he won. I want you to make this all go away before the CPS interview tomorrow. And if I don't, Sarah's eyes filled with tears, then I file for primary custody because I can't trust you to protect our daughter when you're willing to gamble with her safety for a relationship that's barely a month old. Sarah, I don't want to do this, Ethan. I don't want to be the bad guy. But someone has to put Emma first. And if you won't, then I will. She got in her car and drove away, leaving Ethan standing in the parking lot, feeling like his entire world was crumbling. He went inside to find Emma at the kitchen table, her homework untouched, her face streaked with tears. Are you and Mom fighting because of me? She asked. No bug, never because of you. Then why? He sat down next to her, trying to find words that wouldn't terrify her. Sometimes adults disagree about what's best. Your mom and I both love you very much. We just have different ideas about how to keep you safe. Safe from what? From things you don't need to worry about. Is it because of Claire? The question pierced his heart. Kind of, he admitted. Does Mom not like her? Mom doesn't know her, and she's worried about some things happening that aren't Claire's fault. Emma thought about this. Do you like Claire? I love Claire. Like how you used to love Mom. Different, but yes. Does Claire love you? I think so. Then why is everyone fighting? Because life is complicated, bug, and sometimes loving someone means other people get upset. Emma wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I don't want you to be sad. I'm not sad. I'm figuring things out. Are you going to stop seeing Claire? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. I don't know, he said honestly. Emma nodded slowly, then she picked up her pencil and went back to her homework, her small shoulders hunched with worries no 7-year-old should carry. Ethan's phone buzzed. Claire, how did it go with Sarah? He stared at the message, his thumbs hovering over the keyboard. She wants me to end things with you. Says it's the only way to protect Emma. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. She's right. Don't say that. Ethan, I can't be the reason you lose your daughter. You're not. Daniel is. And Daniel only exists in your life because of me. That's not how this works. Yes, it is. I'm the variable. Remove me and the equation balances. You're not a variable. You're a person I love. And Emma is a child who needs you more than you need me. He read the message 3 times, feeling something break inside his chest. What are you saying? I'm saying I think Sarah's right. I think you should walk away. Just like that. Just like that. What about fighting together? What about not running? That was before CPS got involved. This isn't about us anymore. It's about Emma. and she has to come first. Ethan set down his phone and stared at his daughter bent over her math homework, trying so hard to be brave. Sarah was right. Claire was right. Emma had to come first. But walking away from Claire felt like cutting off his own arm. His phone rang. Jessica Morrison. The protective order was denied, she said without preamble. The judge said the recording doesn't constitute sufficient evidence of imminent danger. He wants more documentation, more incidents. Basically, he wants to wait until Daniel actually hurts someone before he will intervene. That's insane. That's the law. I'm sorry, Ethan. We can appeal, but it'll take weeks, months maybe. We don't have months. CPS is interviewing Emma tomorrow. I know, which is why I'm advising you to lawyer up for that too. Don't go into that interview alone. Have representation present. Document everything they ask and everything you answer. How much is that going to cost? Jessica was quiet for a moment. More than you have. I'm sorry. I wish I had better news. The call ended. Ethan sat at his kitchen table, his daughter doing homework beside him, and faced the truth he'd been avoiding. He couldn't win this fight. Daniel had unlimited resources, unlimited time, unlimited connections. Ethan had a lawyer he couldn't afford, a business falling apart, and a custody arrangement hanging by a thread. Claire was right. Sarah was right. Walking away was the only move that made sense. But God had hurt to admit it. He texted Claire, "Can you come over? After Emma's asleep, we need to talk. I'll be there." At 8 p.m., after Emma was tucked into bed with her volcano drawing on the nightstand, Claire knocked softly on the door. She looked like she'd been crying for hours. They sat on his couch, not touching the space between them, filled with things neither wanted to say. The protective order was denied, Ethan said. Claire nodded. I figured. CPS is coming tomorrow. I know. Sarah's threatening to file for custody. She should. Claire, no, Ethan, she's right. I'm poison. Everything I touch turns toxic. Daniel will never stop, not as long as I'm in your life. So what do we do? She looked at him with eyes that had already made the decision. We end this, she said. Cleanly, tonight. I go back to Seattle. You tell Sarah I'm gone. You tell Daniel he won. And Emma gets to grow up without CPS investigations and custody battles. And what about us? There is no us. There was a possibility, a hope, but that's all it ever was. I don't believe that. Then believe this: I love you too much to destroy your life, and staying here will destroy it. So I'm choosing to leave before that happens. Claire, I already packed. My bags are in the car. I'm driving to Seattle tonight. The words hit him like bullets. You're leaving right now. If I wait, I'll lose my nerve. Good, lose your nerve. Stay. Fight with me. I can't. Yes, you can. No, Ethan, I can't. Because every day I stay is another day Daniel has to hurt you. Another day Emma spends worried about things she shouldn't have to think about. Another day your life gets smaller and harder and more complicated. I won't do that to you. She stood. He stood with her. Don't go, he said, his voice breaking. I have to. What about what you said about loving me? I do love you. That's why I'm leaving. She kissed him one last time, desperate and final and tasting like goodbye. Then she walked out the door. Ethan stood in his empty living room, listening to her car engine start, listening to her drive away, listening to his heart break. And he knew with absolute certainty that this was the worst decision of his life. But he also knew it was the only decision that protected Emma. And in the end, that was all that mattered, even if it killed him. The CPS caseworker arrived at 9 a.m. sharp. Her name was Linda Chen, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a clipboard that held Ethan's entire future in its pages. Mr. Walker, I'm here to conduct a standard welfare check following a report we received. This is routine procedure. Nothing to be nervous about. Everything about it made him nervous. Emma sat on the couch in her school uniform, her hands folded in her lap, looking smaller than ever. Can I stay with her during the interview? Ethan asked. I need to speak with Emma alone first. It's protocol. Then I'll talk to you separately. His lawyer had warned him about this. Still walking out of the room and leaving his daughter alone with a stranger who could determine their future felt like jumping off a cliff. He waited in the kitchen, listening to the murmur of voices from the living room, trying not to imagine what questions they were asking. whether Emma was saying the right things, whether his entire life was about to collapse. 20 minutes later, Linda emerged. Emma's a very bright, well-adjusted child, she said. She speaks highly of you, clearly feels safe and loved. Relief flooded through him. Thank you. However, there are some concerns that were raised in the initial report that I need to address with you. What concerns? Linda consulted her clipboard. The report suggests you've been involving Emma in an unstable adult relationship, exposing her to conflict between yourself and your girlfriend's ex-partner. Is that accurate? I've been dating someone, her ex has been harassing us, but I've never put Emma in danger. The report also mentions an incident at school where Emma became physical with another student after that student made comments about your parenting. Emma defended me when a kid repeated gossip his mother heard. She shouldn't have pushed him, but the provocation was real. And the source of that gossip, Claire's ex-fiancé, Daniel Mercer, he's been running a campaign to destroy our relationship by targeting me professionally and personally. Linda wrote something down. Do you have documentation of this harassment? Yes, recordings, emails, statements from witnesses. My lawyer has everything. I'll need to see that documentation. For now, I need to understand, is this relationship with Claire Bennett ongoing? Ethan's throat tightened. No, she left last night, went back to Seattle. Voluntarily. She thought it was best for Emma. And you agreed. I agreed that Emma's welfare comes first. Linda studied him for a long moment. Mr. Walker, I'm not here to judge your personal life, but I need to know that Emma's emotional and physical safety are your priority. They are, always. Then I'm recommending this case be closed with no further action. However, if there are additional incidents involving Emma at school, at home, anywhere, this investigation will be reopened. Do you understand? I understand. Linda stood. Emma is lucky to have a father who cares this much. Don't lose sight of that. After she left, Ethan collapsed on the couch next to Emma. What did she ask you? He said. If I felt safe at home. If you ever yelled at me or hurt me. If I liked Claire. What did you say? I said yes, I feel safe. No, you never hurt me. And yes, I like Claire a lot. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Did I say something wrong? Is that why she left? No, Bug, you said and everything right. Claire left because she's trying to protect us. From the mean Minin, yeah, from him. But I don't want her to be gone. I know, me neither. Emma climbed into his lap, something she hadn't done in months, and cried into his shoulder while Ethan held her and tried not to fall apart himself. His phone buzzed. Sarah, CPS just left my house. They're closing the case. Are you okay? We're fine, shaken but fine. I'm sorry I threatened custody. I was scared. I know. So was I. Is Claire really gone? Yes. Good. I mean, I'm sorry. I know you cared about her. But Emma needs stability right now, I know. He set the phone down and stared at the ceiling, holding his daughter, feeling like he'd won the battle but lost the war. 3 days passed in a blur of silence. Ethan worked, picked up Emma, made dinner, helped with homework, went to bed, repeated. Claire didn't call, didn't text, disappeared as completely as if she'd never existed. Except she had existed, and the hole she left behind was massive. On Saturday morning, Emma asked, can we visit Claire? She's in Seattle, Bug. That's 3 hours away. So we could drive there. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because Claire left for a reason. We need to respect that. Emma's face crumpled. I miss her. Me too. Then why aren't we fighting to get her back? The question hit him like a punch. Because sometimes fighting makes things worse, he said weakly. You always told me to fight for what matters. Does Claire matter? Yes. Then we should fight. Out of the mouths of 7-year-olds. Ethan's phone rang, unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Then something made him pick up. Hello. Mr. Walker, this is Dr. Patricia Huang from the University of Washington. I'm the department head where Claire Bennett used to work. Do you have a moment? His heart stopped. Yes. I received some concerning communications from Daniel Mercer regarding Claire's mental health and her current situation. However, I also received a very different account from Claire herself when she returned to Seattle 3 days ago. I'm calling because I need to understand what actually happened. What did Daniel tell you? That Claire was experiencing a psychological crisis, that she'd fled to a small town and become involved with an inappropriate relationship, that she needed intervention. And what did Claire tell you? That Daniel has been stalking and harassing her for months, that he's been systematically destroying her attempts to build a new life, that she finally left to protect the people she cares about. That's all true. I believe her, but I need evidence. Daniel has been spreading rumors here that could damage Claire's professional reputation. If I'm going to protect her, I need documentation. I have recordings, emails, a failed protective order application, all of it. Can you send it to me? Why are you helping her? Dr. Huang was quiet for a moment. Because Claire Bennett is one of the most brilliant psychologists I've ever worked with. Because she left our program to escape an abusive relationship, not because she had a breakdown. And because Daniel Mercer has been using his position at this university to manipulate people for years. It's time someone stopped him. Ethan's pulse quickened. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm opening a formal ethics investigation into Daniel's conduct, but I need your evidence to make it stick. You'll have it within the hour. Thank you, Mr. Walker. And for what it's worth, Claire spoke very highly of you. She's devastated about leaving. If there's any way to fix this situation, I'd like to help make that happen. The call ended. Ethan sat frozen, his mind racing. An ethics investigation from Daniel's own university, using evidence Ethan had already gathered. This could work. This could actually work. He called Jessica Morrison. I need you to send all our documentation on Daniel Mercer to Dr. Patricia Huang at the University of Washington. She's opening an ethics investigation. Are you serious? Dead serious. Ethan, this could change everything. If the university finds misconduct, Daniel loses his position, his credibility, his ability to hurt you. How long will it take? University investigations, months usually. But if the evidence is as strong as ours, they might expedite. Do it. Send everything. He hung up and immediately called Claire. She answered on the fourth ring, her voice hollow. Ethan, I need you to listen to me. Don't interrupt. Just listen. Okay. Dr. Huang from your old university just called. She's opening an ethics investigation into Daniel. She believes you, she wants to help, and she needs our evidence to make it stick. Silence. Claire, I don't understand. Daniel's been using his university position to harass you. That's a violation of professional ethics. If Huang can prove it, he loses everything. You're saying, I'm saying we might actually win this, but I need you to come back. Not to Seattle, to Ashwood, to me, to Emma. I need you to stop running and start fighting. Ethan's CPS just closed the case. If I come back, Daniel's about to have much bigger problems than us. His career, his reputation, everything he's built. If the university moves forward with this, he won't have time to harass us. He'll be too busy trying to save himself. What if the investigation doesn't go anywhere? Then we're exactly where we are now, but what if it does? What if this is the opening we've been waiting for? Claire's breathing was shaky. I'm scared. So am I, but I'm more scared of living the rest of my life without you. Emma misses you. She asked this morning if we could drive to Seattle to visit you. She said I taught her to fight for what matters. And you matter, Claire. You matter so damn much. Tears in her voice now. I don't want to hurt her again. Then come home. Come back to us. Let us be the family we were starting to become. What if Daniel wins anyway? Then we lose together, but at least we lose fighting, not hiding. A long pause, then I need to think about it. How long? I don't know, a day, maybe two. I'll wait. However long it takes, I'll wait. Ethan. Yeah, I love you, even if I can't come back. Even if this is as close as we ever get. I need you to know that. I love you too, which is why I'm not giving up on us. The call ended. Ethan told Emma that night over dinner. There's a chance Claire might come back, he said carefully. But it's not certain, and it might take time. Emma's face lit up. Really? Really? But Bug, I need you to understand if she comes back, things might get hard again. The mean man might try to cause more problems. I don't care. I want her here. Even if it means more trouble at school. Even then, Dad, you said family fights for each other. Isn't Claire family now? The question stopped his heart. I think she could be, he said quietly. Then we fight for her, like she fought for us by leaving. God, when had his daughter gotten so wise? 2 days later, Ethan was replacing a furnace filter when his phone rang. Dr. Huang, Mr. Walker, I wanted to update you on the investigation. We've reviewed the evidence you provided. It's extensive, damning. We're moving forward with formal charges of professional misconduct, harassment, and abuse of university resources. How long until there is a resolution? Normally months, but given the severity and the clear evidence, the board has agreed to an expedited review. We're looking at 3 to 4 weeks. And Daniel knows about this. He was notified this morning. His access to university systems has been suspended pending the outcome. He's been placed on administrative leave. Ethan felt something like hope kindle in his chest. What does that mean for his ability to harass us? It means if he contacts you, Claire, or anyone associated with this case, it will be used as additional evidence of misconduct. I've made that very clear to him. He knows any further harassment will guarantee his termination. So we're safe. Safer than you were. But Mr. Walker, I need to warn you, men like Daniel don't go down quietly. The next few weeks will be critical. Document everything. Report any contact. Don't engage with him directly. Understood. Thank you, Dr. Huang, for believing Claire, for doing this. Thank me by taking care of her. She deserves happiness after everything she's been through. The call ended. Ethan immediately texted Claire. Daniel's been suspended from the university. Investigation is moving forward. Huang says any contact with us now will get him fired. We're safe. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Are you sure as I can be? Come home, Claire. I'm scared. I know. Come home anyway. An hour passed, 2, 3. Then at 7 p.m. a text. I'm leaving Seattle now. I'll be there by 10. Ethan showed Emma, who literally screamed with joy. She's coming back. Dad, she's really coming back. Yeah, Bug, she is. Can we make her dinner? Can we make that pasta she liked? It's 7 p.m. By the time she gets here, you'll be asleep. I'll stay awake. I promise. She didn't. Emma fell asleep on the couch at 8:30, her volcano drawing clutched in one hand, waiting for Claire to arrive. Ethan covered her with a blanket and waited. At 10:07, headlights swept across the window. He opened the door before Claire could knock. She stood on his doorstep with red eyes and a small suitcase, looking terrified and hopeful and beautiful. Hi, she whispered. Hi. Is the offer still open? Always. She dropped the suitcase and walked into his arms. They stood in the doorway holding each other like survivors, and Ethan felt something in his chest finally settle into place. Emma's asleep on the couch, he said quietly. She tried to stay awake for you. Claire pulled back, wiping her eyes. Can I see her? Of course, well. They walked to the living room where Emma was curled up, her small face peaceful in sleep. Claire knelt beside the couch and gently brushed hair from Emma's forehead. I'm so sorry I left, she whispered to the sleeping child. I promise I won't do it again. Emma stirred, her eyes opening slowly. When she saw Claire, her face transformed. You came back, she breathed. I came back. You promise you're staying? Claire looked at Ethan. He nodded. I promise, Claire said. Emma launched herself at Claire, hugging her so hard they both nearly fell over. I missed you so much, Emma said. I missed you too, sweetheart. Dad says the mean man can't hurt us anymore. We're working on making sure of that. Good, because you belong here, with us. Claire's tears came hard and fast. Thank you for not giving up on me. That's what family does, Emma said simply. Right, Dad. Right, Bug. They sat together on the couch, Ethan, Claire, and Emma, and for the first time in weeks, everything felt almost right. The next 3 weeks were a strange kind of peace. Daniel didn't call, didn't text, disappeared into whatever hole people crawl into when their lives implode. Claire moved into a rental house 2 streets away from Ethan's apartment. Close enough to be present, far enough to be appropriate. She started taking on local consulting clients, small businesses that needed organizational psychology help. It wasn't prestigious university work, but it was real, and it was hers. Emma split her time between both houses, doing homework at Claire's kitchen table, helping Ethan with small repair jobs on weekends. They had dinner together most nights, sometimes at Ethan's place, sometimes at Claire's, sometimes at Joan's house, where Ethan's mother had decided Claire was good people and therefore family. Sarah even came around, met Claire at a school event, and had a stiff but civil conversation. Afterwards, she told Ethan, "She's good with Emma. I was wrong to judge so quickly." It felt like building a life, slowly, carefully, one day at a time. Then on a Tuesday morning, exactly 4 weeks after the investigation started, Dr. Huang called. The board reached a decision. Daniel Mercer has been terminated from the university effective immediately. He's been banned from campus. His research grants have been revoked, and we're recommending charges be filed with the state licensing board for professional misconduct. Ethan closed his eyes. It's really over. His career is over. Whether he'll continue to be a problem for you personally, that I can't guarantee, but he has no institutional power anymore, no credibility, no platform. Thank you for everything. Take care of Claire, Mr. Walker. She deserves someone who fights for her. I intend to. He called Claire immediately. It's done. Daniel's been fired. The university sided with us. Claire made a sound between a laugh and a sob. Are you serious? Completely serious. So it's really over. It's really over. Silence. Then what do we do now? Now we live our lives without looking over our shoulders, without waiting for the next attack. We just live. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I, but we figure it out. Together. That night, Ethan asked Claire and Emma to meet him at Claire's house. He'd been planning this for a week, rehearsing it in his head, terrified and certain in equal measure. They gathered in Claire's living room, no longer pristine and empty, now filled with Emma's drawings and Ethan's tools and signs that actual humans lived there. I have something to say, Ethan started, and I need both of you to hear it. Emma perked up. Claire looked nervous. 5 weeks ago, I burst into a stranger's bathroom and made the worst professional mistake of my life. I violated someone's privacy, saw them at their most vulnerable, and somehow impossibly that moment led to this. He gestured around the room, led to family dinners and homework help and inside jokes and Emma asking if we can visit the woman she's decided is the coolest person she knows. Led to me falling in love with someone who's brilliant and broken and brave enough to start over. Led to us surviving the worst Daniel Mercer could throw at us. Claire's eyes were shining. I don't know what the future looks like. I don't know if we'll make it another 5 weeks or 5 years or 50, but I know I want to try, with both of you, as a family. Emma was grinning. Claire was crying. So I guess what I'm asking is, Claire Bennett, will you let us be your family? Officially, permanently, chaotically, and imperfectly, and really, Claire laughed through her tears. Are you asking what I think you're asking? I'm asking if you'll build a life with us. No running, no hiding, just us, whatever that looks like. Yes. God, yes. 1,000 times yes. Emma whooped and threw her arms around both of them. They stood in Claire's living room, 3 people who'd found each other in the wreckage of broken lives and impossible circumstances, and held each other while the world outside kept spinning. Later, after Emma was asleep in the guest room she'd claimed as her own, Ethan and Claire sat on the back porch under the stars. I can't believe it's really over, Claire said quietly. It's not over, it's just beginning. You know what I mean. I do, and yeah, it's hard to believe we're actually safe. What if Daniel tries again? Then we handle it, together, like we've handled everything else. Claire leaned her head on his shoulder. I love you, Ethan Walker. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for coming back. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars, feeling the weight of the past 6 weeks finally start to lift. You know what Emma asked me today, Claire said. What? If she could call me Mom. Ethan's heart stopped. What did you say? I said she should ask you first, that it's a big decision. What do you want me to say? I want you to say what you think is right for Emma. He thought about it, about Emma's instant connection with Claire, about the way Claire listened to his daughter like her words mattered, about the family they were building from pieces of broken lives. I think, he said slowly, if Emma wants to call you Mom and you're comfortable, Ron, then that's her choice to make. Claire pulled back to look at him. Really? Really? You've been more of a mother to her in 6 weeks than some people are in years. If that's the relationship you two are building, Who am I to stand in the way? She already has a mother. Yeah, and maybe she's lucky enough to have two. Claire kissed him softly. How did I get so lucky to find you? A burst pipe and terrible timing. Best disaster of my life. Mine too. They sat together under the stars 3 streets away from the apartment, where Ethan had raised his daughter alone for 3 years, 2 hours from Seattle, where Claire had left behind a life that didn't fit exactly where they needed to be. A month later, on a crisp October morning, Ethan stood in Claire's kitchen, fixing the cabinet hinge that had come loose, the same kind of simple repair that had brought them together in the first place. Claire watched from the doorway, coffee in hand, wearing one of his old shirts and a smile that made his chest ache. You know, she said, this all started because of a broken pipe. Ethan set down his screwdriver and turned to face her. Best emergency call I ever answered, even after everything. After Daniel and CPS and almost losing everything. Especially after all that, because we made it through, we fought for each other, and we won. Emma appeared in the hallway, sleep-rumpled and holding the constellation book Claire had given her months ago. What are you guys being cheesy about now? She asked. Your dad's fixing the cabinet, Claire said. Again, doesn't he know how to fix things so they stay fixed? Ethan laughed. Some things are worth fixing twice, Bug. Emma rolled her eyes dramatically. You two are so weird. But she was smiling. They were all smiling. Outside, autumn leaves fell across Clearwater Lane, covering the street in golden red. And inside Claire's kitchen, the same kitchen where a broken cabinet had needed fixing, where family dinners happened most nights, where 3 people who'd found each other against all odds had built something real and lasting and true. Ethan Walker, Claire Bennett, and Emma finally stopped waiting for disaster. They'd survived the worst someone could throw at them. They'd fought for each other when walking away would have been easier. They'd chosen love over fear, hope over resignation, family over loneliness, and they'd won. Not perfectly, not without scars, but completely. Because sometimes the best things in life start with a door you never meant to open, a person you never expected to meet, and a choice to fight for something that matters more than safety. Sometimes the best things start with disaster. And sometimes if you're brave enough and stubborn enough and lucky enough, disaster transforms into home.